Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This lecture is about Joseph Campbell's Byzantium, and this article, Byzantium, has been taken from the book written by Joseph Campbell, Occidental Mythology. So, this is the name of the book, and this book is this one. You can see it in the picture, Joseph Campbell, Occidental Mythology. And this book discusses the different mythologies of the West. One of the articles in this book is Byzantium, and in this article, which is taken from Occidental Mythology, as I said, it is the name of the book. The whole book is about different religions, their origins, and different controversies of the religions. They have been discussed. So we will discuss it, but let's take a look at your course contents. This is the name of your paper. I'm addressing the 8th semester students. It has two parts. The first part is fiction, and the second part is non-fiction. And in non-fiction, you can see the first item is Joseph Campbell by Byzantium from Occidental Mythology. So we are discussing this part by Joseph Campbell, and it is included in non-fiction part of it. In this article, Byzantium, the controversy in the religion Christianity has been discussed, and the main problem is that of the nature of mediator, that is Jesus Christ. Mediator means the one who mediates. For example, he was thought to mediate between the people, the humanity, and God, so therefore he was the mediator, Jesus Christ. So what is his nature? Was he God? Was he human being? Or was he both? This discussion follows in the whole of this Byzantium. And one other thing, if you check this word Byzantium in Google, you find out that this is the name of an ancient city of Greece. So it is a Greek city. It used to be a Greek city, and it was in about 660 that it was founded. Then later on, it was rebuilt by the Emperor Constantine I in 330, and therefore it was referred to as Constantinople. So it's another name for it because it was rebuilt by Constantine, therefore Constantinople. Nowadays, it is present day Istanbul. But why is this article called Byzantium? Because there were three different main places which were important for Christianity. One was Rome, where the Pope said. The other was Alexandria, uh, built by Alexander the Great. And yet another was Constantinople, also called Byzantium. That was also the center of this religion, Christianity. So these three were the main centers. So as there is a discussion of Constantinople and the religious Christian religion people who sat there and who enjoyed great positions and statuses there. They have been discussed. Therefore, the name of this article is Byzantium. So, as I said, the main problem discussed here is the nature of the mediator, that is Jesus Christ, whether he was a man, he was a God, or he was both man and God. And some people agreed on it, and the others went apart. They did not agree. So there was agreement, disagreement, again disagreement. One pope or one bishop would go against another bishop, and the same bishop will go then against the first. So this controversy is discussed here. And in this controversy, the people, the parties who are taking part in this argument, in this controversy of Christianity, are four. The first is the Egyptian Theological School of Alexandria. Don't be afraid these names. These are just names. For example, Egypt, which is in Urdu called Misr, And then there is Alexandria, which was built by Alexander the Great, therefore it is called Alexandria, and it is also in Egypt. So that school of thought, which is referred to as Maktaba Fikr in Urdu, was the Egyptian Theological School of Alexandria. This is one party which is involved in this discussion. This party stressed that Jesus Christ was divine, that he was God, and the main representative of this idea were two. One was called Cyril, and the other was Dioscorus. So these were the two. This pronunciation can be checked in Google. I may be wrong in some of the pronunciations. I have checked some. For example, I have checked Cyril, but this I'm not sure about this Dioscorus. It looks like this. You just click it in Google, and you will find out what is the pronunciation. So this was the first school which was involved in this controversy. The second school, again, I'm telling you, don't be afraid of these names. These are just names of places. That was called Cappadocian Syrian School of Antioch. This Cappadocia, again, is the name of a place, uh, nowadays Turkey, and this Antioch also called Antakya. It is in Turkey again. So the people who belong to this place, they were also a party, and this school or this group of people, they believed that Jesus Christ was a human being, and they stressed this idea. And the representative in this case was the person named Nestorius. These are ecclesiastical personages. Cyril, for example, was a saint, and this Nestorius was condemned and excommunicated by Saint Cyril. The third party, which is involved in this controversy, is the emperor on his throne in Constantinople. As I said, Constantinople or Byzantium or present day Istanbul. And this is also referred to as the Second Rome. Rome itself was the center of Christianity, where Pope even nowadays sits. Constantinople is the second place important for Christianity. This emperor of Constantinople, he was interested in keeping the empire from disintegrating, because if this argument continues, then people will divide. And if the people are divided, the the whole empire will then be divided. The emperor was interested in his empire because this argument could lead to disintegration of the empire. The fourth party was the Pope himself, Pope on his throne at Rome. This was the king or the emperor on his throne in Constantinople, and here the Pope in Rome. And the Pope in Rome tried to say that he is the most important person, and he asserted his primacy of his post of his church, and he believed that he is actually the predecessor of, or he is actually the one who is following Peter, and after Peter, he is the most important person. Peter, as you know, was one of the apostles of Jesus Christ, and he thought Pope that he is the replacement of Peter, so therefore he is the most important one. And as Peter was the most important in the apostles, Pope is the most important in the bishops. So this is just that background, and then we'll start this discussion. ये जो अभी हमने पढ़ा, बात हमने ये की कि आपके कोर्स कंटेंट्स में ये जो पेपर है जिसका नाम है 20th सेंचुरी फिक्शन एंड नॉन फिक्शन, 8th सेमेस्टर में इसके दो हिस्से हैं. फिक्शन जिसमें आपने नॉवेल्स पढ़े, और नॉन फिक्शन जिसका पहला आइटम है जोसेफ कैम्बल और उसकी किताब, ये वाली किताब, ये किताब है और इसका नाम है آکسیڈنٹل میتھولوجی. آکسیڈنٹل کا مطلب ہے ویسٹرن، اور میتھولوجی سے یا مراد من گھڑت قصے بھی ہیں، اور اس سے مراد ریلیجنز بھی ہیں، کیونکہ اس میں مختلف ریلیجنز کے، اسلام کا بھی اس میں ذکر ہے، آقا علیہ السلام کا بھی اس میں ذکر ہے. اس نے بہت ریسرچ کیا ہوا ہے اور یہ اس نے لکھا ہے. تو اس کتاب میں آکسیڈنٹل میتھولوجی میں، اس کتاب میں ایک آئٹم جو ہے وہ بائزنٹیم ہے. پھر ہم نے بائزنٹیم کو انٹروڈیوس کیا کہ بائزنٹیم بذات خود یہ یونان کی ایک اینشنٹ سٹی تھی، اور پھر اور اس کو 660 BC میں فاؤنڈ کیا گیا تھا، بنایا گیا تھا. پھر کانسٹنٹین نے اس کو 330 میں ری بلڈ کیا، اور چونکہ اور اسی وجہ سے اس کا نام کانسٹنٹینوپل رکھا گیا، کیونکہ اس کا نام کانسٹنٹین تھا. اور آج کل یہ استنبول ہے. تو یہ استنبول ہو، کانسٹنٹین ہو، اینشنٹ گریک سٹی ہو، بیزنٹیم ہو، اس کو بیزنٹیم بھی پڑھتے ہیں اور بائزنٹیم بھی پڑھتے ہیں، یہ دونوں درست ہے. اس کا یہاں پہ ریلیشن شپ بھی ہے، کیونکہ 3 بڑے کرسچن ریلیجن کے لیے جگہ تھی، جن میں سے ایک روم تھا جہاں پہ پوپ آج کل بھی بیٹھتا ہے، ایک بیزنٹیم تھا جس کو کانسٹنٹینوپل بھی کہا جاتا تھا، اور ایک الیگزینڈریا جس کو الیگزینڈر نے بنایا تھا، تو اس کو الیگزینڈریا بولتے ہیں. تو یہاں ہم نے یہ پڑھا کہ ایکسیڈنٹل میتھولوجی، یہ اس بک کا نام ہے. یہ والی بک یہ میں آپ کے ساتھ شیئر بھی کر دوں گا. اور اس بک میں مختلف آرٹیکلز ہیں. ایک آرٹیکل بیزنٹیم ہے. یہ بک مختلف ریلیجنز کے بارے میں ہے، ان کی اوریجن اور کنٹروورسیز کے بارے میں، ان میں کیا تضادات، اختلافات ہیں. اور یہ جو خود بیزنٹیم آرٹیکل ہے یا ایسے ہے، جو بھی آپ اس کو کہیں، اس میں کرسچینٹی کی کنٹروورسی کے بارے میں ہے، خاص طور پہ جیزس کرائسٹ کے بارے میں. کیا یہ انسان تھا یا گاڈ تھا، یا انسان اور گاڈ دونوں تھا؟ یہ ہمارے عقیدے کے مطابق ظاہر ہے وہ ایک انسان تھے، جلیل القدر پیغمبر تھے، اور معجزانہ طور پہ ان کی پیدائش ہوئی، اور ان کے پاس اپنے معجزے تھے. یہ ہم بھی بلیو کرتے ہیں، کرسچن بھی کرتے ہیں، لیکن ہم اس کو گاڈ نہیں کہتے اور وہ اس کو گاڈ کہتے ہیں. تو کچھ لوگ اس پہ ایگریڈ تھے، کچھ لوگ ایگریڈ نہیں تھے. یہ بہت ساری ڈس ایگریمنٹ کی ڈسکشن ہے. ہاں، اس ڈس ایگریمنٹ اور کنٹروورسی میں 4 پارٹیز انوالو ہیں. پہلی پارٹی جو ہے اس کو کہتے ہیں ایجپشین تھیولوجیکل اسکول آف الیگزینڈریا. الیگزینڈریا جگہ کا نام ہے، ایجپٹ آپ کو پتہ ہے مصر کو بولتے ہیں، الیگزینڈریا بھی مصر ہی میں ہے، آج کل کے مصر میں. تو ان لوگوں نے یہ بات اس پہ زور دیا کہ جو جیزس کرائسٹ ہے وہ ڈیوائن ہے، اور یعنی وہ گاڈ ہے. اور اس کے لیے 2 لوگ بڑے مشہور تھے جو بشپس تھے، اور بشپ اصل میں پوپ کے بعد کا عہدہ ہے ان کا ریلیجس. تو ایک سیرل تھا، ایک ڈائس کرس تھا. تو ان دونوں کا خیال یہ تھا کہ یہ ڈیوائن ہے، یہ گاڈ ہے. پھر جو دوسرا اسکول اس میں انوالو تھا اس کو کپڈوشین سیرین اسکول آف اینٹیوک بولتے تھے. یہ نام تھوڑے سے مشکل ہے، کپڈوشین، کپڈوشیا، یہ پرانا نام ہے جو کہ ٹرکی میں، آج کل کے ٹرکی میں پایا جاتا ہے، جس کو اناتولیا بھی بولتے ہیں. اور یہ اینٹیوک جس کو آج کل انطاکیہ بولتے ہیں، یہ بھی ٹرکی میں ہے. تو یہ اس زمانے میں ان کے نام تھے. یہاں پہ جو لوگ تھے وہ ایک اسکول اور ایک مکتبہ فکر تھا. ان کا خیال یہ تھا کہ جیزس کرائسٹ جو تھا یہ ہیومن بینگ تھا، اور اس کا ریپرزینٹیو یہ نسٹوریس تھا. نسٹوریس چونکہ اس عقیدے کے خلاف تھا، اور یہ عقیدہ سائرل کا تھا. سائرل بعد میں سینٹ بنا، تو اس نے سائرل نے نسٹوریس کو ایکسکمیونیکیٹ بھی کیا کہ یہ کافر ہے، یعنی ہمارے مذہب سے دور ہے. پھر اس کے بعد جو تیسری پارٹی تھی وہ کانسٹنٹینوپل کا جو ایمپرر تھا، وہ تھا، آپ کو بتایا کانسٹنٹینوپل آج کل کا استنبول ہے، پرانے زمانے کا رومن امپائر کے لیے بڑی اہم جگہ تھی. اس کو سیکنڈ روم بھی کہتے تھے. اور ظاہر ہے یہ ایمپرر تھا، یہ تو اس میں انٹرسٹڈ تھا کہ اس کی امپائر یہ خراب نہ ہو، ڈس انٹیگریٹ نہ ہو، ختم نہ ہو. تو یہ بھی اس کا آرگیومنٹ اس طرف تھا کہ مسئلہ نہ پیدا ہو جائے. چوتھی پارٹی جو ہے وہ پوپ کی تھی، جو کہ روم میں اپنے تخت پہ بیٹھتا ہے، اور اس کے لیے اپنی پوسٹ ہی امپورٹنٹ تھی، اور اس کو بچانے کے لیے یہ اپنے آپ کو بڑا امپورٹنٹ سمجھتا تھا. اس کا خیال یہ تھا کہ جس طرح جیسس کرائسٹ کے اپوسلز میں، حواریین میں پیٹر سب سے امپورٹنٹ تھا، تو اس طرح بشپس میں یہ سب سے امپورٹنٹ ہے اور اس کو سب سے امپورٹنس دینی چاہیے. So this was just an introduction, and the actual controversy is discussed in three phases. So you have phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 3. In phase 1, we are told about an argument. The argument is this, that if all men are sinners and Christ was not a sinner, then Christ cannot have been truly man. The argument is simple. This was one argument. The argument said that if it is considered that all men have committed sins and Jesus Christ hasn't committed a sin, then Jesus Christ is not a man, that is, he is a God, according to them. There was a man, bishop, his name was Apollinaris, and Apollinaris, he proposed to answer this troublesome argument. This was the troublesome argument, and he wanted to give a reply to this argument. And Apollinaris's reply was this, that Jesus Christ actually, his human soul was replaced by Logos. Logos means God. That is, his human spirit was created in the image of the Logos, in the image of God. This is what Apollinaris' reply was, and this reply was considered quite clever. I will repeat this now in Urdu so you understand it completely. یہ اب پہلا فیز شروع ہوتا ہے. اس پہلے فیز میں جو امپورٹنٹ شخص ہے اس کا نام ہے اپولینیریس، اور یہ ایک بشپ تھا. اس زمانے میں ایک آرگیومنٹ تھا. آرگیومنٹ یہ تھا کہ اور اس کو ٹربل سم آرگیومنٹ، مشکل آرگیومنٹ سمجھا جاتا تھا، کہ اگر کہا جائے کہ سارے انسان سنرز ہیں، گناہ گار ہیں، اور جیزس کرائسٹ گناہ گار نہیں ہے، تو پھر جیزس کرائسٹ جو ہے یہ انسان نہیں ہے بلکہ یہ گاڈ ہے. تو اپولینیریس نے اس کی رپلائی دی کہ کرائسٹ جو ہے اس کا سول یہ لوگوس کا ہے، اور یہ کہا جاتا ہے کہ ہیومن اسپرٹ، انسانی جو روح ہے، یہ امیج آف گاڈ پہ کریٹ کی گئی ہے، اور جس کو ہم کہتے ہیں خلیفۃ اللہ فی الارض، زمین پر اللہ تعالیٰ کا خلیفہ بنا کے بھیجا گیا ہے، اور اس کے مطابق اس کی جو روح ہے یہ گاڈ سے آئی ہوئی ہے، اور لوگوس اور مین یہ ایک دوسرے کے لیے ایلین نہیں ہے بلکہ ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ اٹیچ ہے. تو یہ اپولینیریس نے اس آرگیومنٹ کا جواب دیا. This reply was quite a clever reply, but this did not clarify the argument. It made this argument even worse. There was no clarification. And as a result, when a council was summoned, council means a kind of meeting, that meeting was called the Second Ecumenical Council. This meeting was called in Constantinople in 381. And this council or this meeting decided that Apollinarius was wrong. He was therefore condemned. He was excommunicated, and it was said that his argument was wrong. Then later on, in 428, this argument was revived, and it was because of Nestorius. Nestorius became the bishop of Constantinople. Both Nestorius and Apollinarius, as I have told you in this main item, both of them believed that Christ was human and that he was not God. Apollinarius was condemned and this argument ended, but there was a resurgence of this argument, revival of this argument in the year 428, and it was because of Nestorius, who was the bishop of Constantinople or Byzantium or an ancient Greek city. And this new bishop, who sat in Constantinople, also called the Second Rome, he said that Mary had not been the mother of God. That is, the mother of Christ's human nature. She was not the mother of God, she was the mother of a human nature. And he also said that I cannot speak of God as being 2 or 3 months old. So it seemed ridiculous to Nestorius to say that God is now 2 months old, God is now 3 months old. This looked ridiculous to him, and he believed that he was a human being. ये इस पैराग्राफ में जो मेन आइटम है वो यही है कि एपोलोनेरियस और नेस्टोरियस दोनों का ख्याल ये था कि जीसस क्राइस्ट ह्यूमन बीइंग है और वो गॉड नहीं है। ये रिप्लाई जो इसने दी थी एपोलिनेरियस ने, जिस तरह हमने कहा, रिप्लाई तो क्लेवर रिप्लाई थी, लेकिन हमने देखा कि कोई क्लियर रिप्लाई नहीं, और ये मसला जो था और गंभीर हो गया, ख़राब हो गया। एक मीटिंग बुलवाई गई, इनके जो रिलीजियस लीडर्स हैं, एक्लीसियास्टिकल्स जिसको कहते हैं, इसको सेकेंड इक्यूमेनिकल काउंसिल कहते हैं, इसको बुलाया गया और एपोलिनेरियस की इस रिप्लाई को कंडेम किया गया। एपोलिनेरियस को भी कंडेम किया गया, इसने ये गलत बताया है, और फॉर द टाइम बीइंग ये मामला दब गया। लेकिन 428 में इसी चीज़ ने दोबारा सर उठाया जब नेस्टोरियस ये कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल का बिशप बना, और नेस्टोरियस भी फॉलोअर था एपोलिनेरियस का। जिस तरह एपोलिनेरियस ने कहा था कि वो ह्यूमन बीइंग है, इसने भी कहा कि ह्यूमन बीइंग है। उसने बात यूं की कि मेरी यानी मरियम अलैहिस्सलाम, इसने गॉड को नहीं जना, बल्कि इसने एक इंसान को जना है, ये इंसान की माँ। और इसको ये बात भी अजीब लगी कि मैं ये नहीं कह सकता कि अब गॉड 2 महीने का हो गया, 3 महीने का हो गया, ये बड़ी अजीब बात होगी। लिहाजा ये इंसान था, और ये जीसस क्राइस्ट गॉड नहीं था। After this, now you see, we are discussing that controversy which took place then. First came the Apollinarius and Nestorius, and now the other person, the important person, is Cyril. He was also a bishop, and he was of the opinion that the term the mother of God is correct, and he justified this phrase for Mary, that she was the mother of God. And it was Bishop Cyril of Alexandria who broke into this controversy. As a result, he wrote letters, different letters, to the court of Constantinople, to Emperor Theodosius II, the name of an emperor. He wrote letters um, against Nestorius and Apollinarius, that their ideas were wrong and that his idea is correct, and that he is justifying in saying that Mary was the mother of God. Mary was the mother of Jesus Christ, who was God. So he wrote letters to the Emperor Theodosius II in Cyril justified this term, as I said, and he gave different quotations from numerous authorities. He also wrote letters to Nestorius. As I said, Nestorius believed that Jesus Christ was human, and Cyril believed that he was God. So he wrote letters to Nestorius, and he charged him that he had failed to understand the Nicene Creed. The Nicene Creed means the Christian creed, as we are discussing it now, that Jesus Christ is God. Letters were also written between Cyril and the Pope in Rome. The Pope then was Celestine the First. This was the name of the Pope. As a result of this, once again, a synod was called, which again refers to a meeting. And in this meeting, Nestorius, who believed that Jesus Christ was a human being, was condemned. So you see, one is condemned and another is condemned. As a result, in reaction, Nestorius, who himself was a bishop, he also issued a counter anathemas. Anathema means excommunication, to call someone that someone is kafir or someone is out of religion. He uh, countered it, and he also, as he was at the high position in Constantinople, he also countered this argument. And this was the time when the emperor himself stepped in. ये इस पैराग्राफ में जो मेन आइटम है वो ये है कि साइरल बिशप इसने इस फ्रेज को कि मेरी द मदर ऑफ गॉड थी जस्टिफाई किया कि ये सही है. इससे पहले नेस्टर अपोलिनेरियस ने इसका इनकार किया था, इसने इकरार किया और इसने इस कंट्रोवर्सी में हिस्सा लिया. एक एम्परर थियोडोसियस द सेकंड को, जो कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल का एम्परर था, इसको खतूत लिखे और साइरल ने जस्टिफाई किया कि ये द मदर ऑफ गॉड थी. इसने नेस्टोरियस को भी खत लिखा और उस पर इल्ज़ाम लगाया कि तुम हमारे अकीदे को समझे नहीं हो. और इसी तरीके से साइरल और पोप इन रोम के दरमियान भी खतूत का तबादला हुआ. तो एक और मीटिंग बुलाई गई और इस मीटिंग में नेस्टोरियस को कंडेम किया गया. लेकिन नेस्टोरियस खुद एक बिशप था तो और कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल का एक अहम शख्स था. तो इसने इसका रद्द किया कि आप मुझे कुछ नहीं कर सकते, मुझे नहीं निकाल सकते, रिलीजन से एक्सकम्युनिकेट नहीं कर सकते. तो ये वो मकाम था कि एम्परर खुद जो है उसने इसमें टांग अड़ाई, उसने स्टेप इन किया. एंड here comes our next point. Theodosius II, as a result, he summoned a council, and it was in 431, and this council was summoned at Ephesus. This is the name of a place in Turkey. And it was in this meeting that it was confirmed and it was said that the Virgin Mother, that is Mary, was the Mother of God. And as a result, Nestorius refused to attend this meeting. This person, Nestorius, therefore was condemned, and he was deprived of his see. See means his position, his church, and he was removed from bishophood. He was condemned. Um, then he held a council of his own. Nestorius held a council of his own. He also called a meeting, and he, Nestorius, condemned Cyril. Cyril condemned Nestorius, Nestorius condemned Cyril, just like it happens in our society. One group calls the other group that group is kafir, and that other group calls the first group as kafir, and this thing happened there in Christianity as well. Um, in the end, however, Nestorius was forced to obey, and he was exiled into the desert of Egypt, Nestorius, and he was then finally slain by a monk named Senuti II. And that was the end of Nestorius. So this was that first phase which ends here. ये पहले फेज का अख्ताम है इस कंट्रोवर्सी के लिए और एम्परर ने जिसका नाम थियोडोसियस II था एक और मीटिंग बुलाई 431 में इफेसस मकाम पर जो तुर्की में है और यहाँ पे डिसाइड किया गया कि वर्जिन मदर यानी मैरी मरियम अलैहिस्सलाम ये जीसस क्राइस्ट ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम की माँ तो है लेकिन मदर ऑफ गॉड है तो इन्होंने गॉड कहा उनको नेस्टोरियस ने इस मीटिंग के अटेंड करने से इनकार किया था इसको पता था कि ये होगा और इस मीटिंग में इसको कंडेम किया गया एक्सकम्युनिकेट किया गया ये खुद एक बिशप था तो एंटियोक ग्रुप के साथ मिलकर ये भी जगह का नाम है वहाँ के लोग और इसने अपनी एक काउंसिल बुलाई और इसने साइरल को कंडेम किया लेकिन बाद में एम्परर का जोर ज़्यादा था तो इसको मजबूर किया गया इसको ओबीडियंस पे मजबूर किया गया इसको एग्जाइल भेजा गया जलावतन कर दिया गया इजिप्ट के सहरा में और फिर अब इसको एक मंक ने राहिब ने जिसका नाम सनूटी था उसने कत्ल कर दिया So this was the end of the first phase. Now if you just have a look at it again, what happened in this first phase, we are discussing Joseph Campbell's Byzantium, which is taken from Occidental Mythology, which is the name of a book. And this article lies there in this book. In this article, the controversies in Christianity are discussed. The main problem is that of the nature of mediator. Four parties took part in this controversy. The first party was the Egyptian Theological School of Alexandria. They said he was divine and God. The main representative was Cyril and Dioscorus. The second party was Cappadocian Syrian School of Antioch, and they believed and stressed that he was a human being. Nestorius was their representative. The third party was the emperor of Constantinople. The fourth party was the Pope in Rome. In the first phase, Apollinarius, he gave a reply to the argument that is, if all men are sinners and Christ is not a sinner, then Christ is not a human being. And this argument was answered by Apollinarius. The reply was that the soul of human being comes from God, and it is created, the human soul, in the image of God. So it's a very clever reply, um, but it didn't make the things clear. It made the things worse, and therefore Apollinarius was condemned by the council, by the meeting, which is called Second Ecumenical Council at Constantinople in 381. His argument, however, was revived in 428 by Nestorius, who became the Bishop of Constantinople, and He stressed that Mary had not been the mother of God, and she was the mother of a human being, and that it was not correct to say that he would say that God is 2 months old or 3 months old. This looked ridiculous. Bishop Cyril, however, justifies the term the mother of God. He says it is correct, and he also charges Nestorius that he failed to understand Christianity. The council was summoned, and Theodosius um, summoned this council. He was the king, the emperor, and they declared that Mary was the mother of God, and Nestorius was condemned. He was forced to obey, and then he died. This is the first argument, the first phase. From this time onward, the second phase begins. I think this much is enough for now. The rest of the lecture will inshallah be delivered in the next lecture, lecture number 2. Thank you and good luck.